Yeah, let me start with last night's game because a lot of times we focus on offense and defense. I focus on the offensive line and defensive line. But when we look at the strengths and weaknesses of a team, that's usually it's about your quarterback, your edge rusher, offensive line, defensive line. The Ravens are different. As John Harbaugh said last night, there's nobody in the league like Lamar Jackson. Well, there's nobody in the league like Justin Tucker. Tucker makes a difference. He kicked a 58-yarder in the third quarter and kicked home a 43-yarder as time expired, leading Baltimore to the victory. When you talk about groups in football, it's offense or defense, but you always have to remember the special teams. And when you look at the Patriots, when the Patriots won, yes, it was about Belichick. Yes, it was about Brady. But it was also about Adam Vinatieri. Doing it when you need somebody to do it. And that's really the key. Justin Tucker is a unique weapon because you realize you get to a certain place on the field and you know he's going to win that game. Or at least the odds certainly are on your side. Seton, what's the poll question that we have today?
Dad, we could start with a dude poll question, as we like to do on Monday.
Okay.
Giants. Dude, beat the Packers? What? In London?
By the way, here is Aaron Rodgers, the Packers quarterback, after that loss in London.
Frankly, I don't like all this conversation about losing next week. I'm a firm believer in the power of words and manifestation, and we got to check ourselves on that because talking about that is that's not winning football. There was conversation about it in the locker room, and I don't like it. And Ja's my guy, but we don't need to be talking like that.
Jair Alexander was, I guess, kind of wondering what'll happen. What's the reaction if we lost to the Jets next week? Okay, you're right. You don't want that, but this manifestation that Aaron's talking about, that it's going to, in a cosmic world, it's going to come back.
It's his journey.
Yeah, if you send it out, negative things come back. Yes,
if he had just said, well, I don't like all this talk about losing next week already, and stopped there, it would be like, yeah, okay, like you're already in like a negative mindset. Why are we already talking about losing? But it's like, I'm a firm believer in the power of manifestation and words. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All righty.
Here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. So you believe we're not manifesting what you want us to manifest with our words? Okay.
Because you put out negative vibes and then it comes back and then all of a sudden it's like a cancer on the team or something like that.
Okay, let's hang up your dream catchers in the window.
Heading into tonight, 38 games have been decided by 6 points or less. That's the most through the first 5 weeks of a season in NFL history.
Stat
Whoa!
of the day, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that
What?
Stat of the day.
This program brought to you by Simply Safe Home Security. Protect your home. Over 4 million people have chosen Simply Safe in the last decade. At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. Claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off. Interactive monitoring, simplysafedan.com. Phone numbers, as we always do every Monday, best and worst of the weekend. What you saw that you liked, you didn't like, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle, @DP-SHOW. Cowboys beat the Rams. I like how they're trying to shoehorn Cooper Rush undefeated. Those are pedestrian numbers. All they did is run the football and go after Matthew Stafford. They ran the ball 34 times, and they put pressure on Matthew Stafford. That's it. Here's Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys head coach, on that defense.
We felt strongly come out last year about our group and, had a great offseason and everything leading up to this. But, boy, they're just playing lights out. We expected a heavy run game coming from the Rams. But when we had our opportunity to pressure, I thought our guys were outstanding. Obviously, the 3 takeaways were huge and a big part of our victory.
I don't know if I would be expecting the Rams to run the football. I'm surprised at that answer because the Rams haven't been able to run the football. It's basically Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, and that's about it. Micah Parsons, he is helping the Cowboys do something that they haven't done in 50 years. They've allowed less than 20 points in each of their first 5 games. And is Dak Prescott going to come back? Because next Sunday night, It'll be the Eagles and the Cowboys. I would not have him come back against the Eagles. Cooper Rush has done just well enough. You're good. Yes, it is a big game. There's bigger games down the road. Because after this, I want him to be ready. I think they have the Vikings and the Packers. Seton, do you have the Cowboys schedule there? It feels like they have the Bears. They have the Eagles, and then they have a couple of. They
have the Eagles, then the Lions, Bears, and I want to say Packers after that. Yeah, okay. So you could see a ramp there to get Dak back into game speed.
Yes, I'd like to ease him in against one of these subpar teams.
No offense.
Yeah. Yes, Marv.
Should the Cowboys keep going this way when Dak comes back, like heavy on the run game, or are they just going to go back to Dak?
They should, but they won't. Because, this is why we have Dak in there, because we need to throw the football. You can run the football, play great defense. That's okay. Part of the NFL is built upon that. Hey, run the ball and play good defense. You got two good running backs. You got Pollard, who's explosive. Zeke, bring him in the fourth quarter and give him the ball, let him be a battering ram. Now, would you like to get a little bit more out of your quarterback? Absolutely. Would you like to keep the defense honest? Absolutely. As long as you continue to play great defense, I don't need you to be explosive, but it feels like Jerry wants that. Yes,
I heard somebody had said, I forget who it was, but they were like that you absolutely put Dak Prescott back in the game as soon as he's healthy enough to do it. The problem is you have to keep the Cooper Rush game plan and give that to Dak Prescott. That you can't go crazy with it. Just keep it simple and you'll have success, which I think that there might be some sense there.
Well, we've talked about this for years. Shea and Irving would always call in and say, just run the football, Danny.
Run the damn ball.
Yeah. Play defense, run the football. And that is a good defense that borders on being very good. Micah Parsons, as long as you have that, and we're going to talk about Defensive Player of the Year. Micah Parsons deserves to be an MVP conversation. Absolutely. I know that we go, it's a quarterback award. It is if you don't think outside the box and go, let me look at the entirety of what's going on here. Who changes a game more than Micah Parsons does? You can say Josh Allen. You can say Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we can run Lamar Jackson. Absolutely. But when you get through running down the quarterbacks, Micah Parsons' name deserves to be in there. And go back to the draft. I loved him, but I loved him because I had a source who said he's the most explosive guy you've got on defense in the draft. The question is, who takes a chance on a middle linebacker who's not tall and was not used as an edge rusher? I'll try that again. An edge rusher at Penn State. And there were things that were surrounding him. There were off-the-field issues that they talked about, temper issues. But I was told if you take a chance on him, he's one of those guys who has the highest ceiling. Well, it turned out, because my source is dead on with these things, he's the one who said, everybody talks about, other receivers. Jamar Chase didn't even play last year. He's the best wide receiver coming into the draft. Quentin Nelson, he said, that's the best guy in the draft, the lineman who's going to go to the Hall of Fame for the Colts. So I trust his judgment when he talked about Micah Parsons. I just knew he had incredible makeup speed. When you watch Penn State, you're like, that dude's all over the place. And I thought he was like a Palomalu or Junior Seau. And then you realize he's an incredible edge rusher. But he does so many different things there. When you talk about impact, Micah Parsons deserves to be on that list. Yeah, Marv.
So is he early October MVP?
October MVP. No. I'm not saying he is MVP. I'm saying that if you're going to talk about, at some point, we talk about MVP. Now, halfway through the season, then you go, all right, who's your MVP? Micah Parsons should be on the short list. Yes.
MVP is going to be dope, though.
Yes, it will.
That's big.
Yeah, that one helps. It sounds better than October VP. November-BP.
December-BP, too.
Ooh, like that.
Also works.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul.
Micah Parsons, 14 quarterback pressures this year, second only to Nick Bosa of the 49ers, who has 22 quarterback pressures he's in the mix for leading his team as well.
Okay. But didn't he get hurt? Doesn't he have a groin injury?
He doesn't need a groin to pressure a quarterback.
But his brother is out with groin surgery. So I think both Boses have groin issues.
Groin.
Gone. What other poll questions do you have there?
Well, I could give you some more options for the dude poll question, Dan.
Okay.
Let's see. We already went over the Giants,
All
right?
right.
The Jets worked the Dolphins. How about that? Was it 40-17?
Last week, middle of the week, talked to somebody who said there's going to be an overreaction based off what happened to Tua. And I said, well, wait, what do you mean? And my source said, we're going to go the other way. Dan Orlovsky of the Mothership joined us. But my source is the one who told us initially that there's going to be an overreaction here. And there is. It's based off of Tua. And this is what happens. When rules are changed, it's usually because of one moment, one player, one incident. It's not a collection. It's one. They're like, well, we got to change this. And that's what happened with Tua. You saw that with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if he got his bell rung, if it was not a concussion. They said he hurt his elbow. You saw the tackle on Tom Brady. Well, is that an overreaction? Because if you watch when Tua gets slammed to the ground in the game against the Bengals, I think and I don't have this on any great authority, but I'm just going to read into this, that the officials are going, hey, if you see somebody slinging a quarterback around in a similar fashion the way Tua went down against the Bengals and did suffer the concussion that kept him out of yesterday, call it. And the appearance was, when Tom Brady was sacked in the Falcons game, was the defender ready to sling him down? Did he go above and beyond the call of duty? Now, I would call that a sack. That's it. I mean, that was embarrassing. That's where I said, oh, my God, there's a flag on the play. Was it a face mask? Did he hit Brady to the side of his helmet? The defender ended up underneath Tom Brady. And I thought, I get protection. I understand it. But also, this has to come from the teams protecting their own players. Now the league's involved. Imagine if this happens in a playoff game. Let's say Teddy Bridgewater, who did clear concussion protocol. Let's say that's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. That was the first play of the game. Hey, come on over. You're not going back in. You can't appeal it. That's it. Done. We're at this point because teams have failed their players, in my opinion. And I do think that this overcorrection is going to continue. Now, it might only continue this year. A lot of times what happens is, oh my gosh, the Calvin Johnson, complete the process nonsense. Like there's always one play and you go, oh my God, they're changing the entire rule because of this. Maybe there's a better awareness to this. And that's what I hope. Just be smarter and be honest. Be transparent about somebody's health. That would be the smart approach, but that's not the prudent approach by these teams. And because of that, there's an overreaction. You saw that with Teddy. Teddy Bridgewater did not have a concussion, passed a concussion protocol, and Tom Brady was not slammed to the ground. But here we are. This is based off what happened a couple of weeks ago. One person, and that was Tua.